Hi, in this screencast we will see how to set up the SSH tunneling. Now if your system is not installed SSH server, then install through the apt-get install OpenSSH-server. Now SSH secure shell. How we use SSH? We use this in this syntax SSH username at hostname. Now we'll see. This is my IP address 192.168.56.101. I want to SSH to the another remote system. SSH and host name or IP address 192.168.56. In this case, I'm using 102. Is another system. So we have the password. Okay, I logged into the another system. Now how this SSH works? Now what happens when you use the terminal in this system 56.101, when you use SSH, it's communicated to the SSH client in the client program. Then this client is connected to the server in the remote host in port number 22, and they establish on encrypted channels. After that, all your future communication is go through these encrypted channels. Okay, this is our scenario. Now I have three systems. One system is outside. It's a part of internet. That IP address is 192.168.56.101, and there is a one private network is available. In the private network there is one server. The server have two Ethernet ports. One is connected to the internet, one is connected to the local internet. And here inside the private network there's a different IP address, so that means different subnet. So from outside we can't directly access to our machines. In this scenario, each system I will put the name host name. This system host name is system. This host name is private network. This host name is internet. From system I want to access the intranet. So here how we will achieve? We first logged into the private server, then we logged into nested logged into intranet. Okay. Now this is three systems. So I will simulate the same environment through three virtual machines. Okay, this host name is system. So it's outside it's on the part of the internet, and it's outside the private network. And another system name is it's a private server, and this IP address is two Ethernet card. One is connected to the internal network, that's mean 10.10 series network, and another is a part of the internet. The internet is here is 56, like this 56, and one is a part of the internet. And the third virtual machine is the host name is, we'll make it an intranet, and this IP address is 10.10.1. So this is the IP address of this machine. Now you can ping from this system, you can ping here, but from this system you can ping this system, but you can't ping this internet. Now I want to access the system. So from our system, now I SSH to private network. Okay, I'm logged into the private server. Now host name is, we are logged into the private server. From private server I am again logged into the intranet. Okay, I logged in. So I logged into the internet. You can see the IF config. There is a we are logged into the particular 10.10.1.1. So here we can issue all the commands, all remote administration we can do. Suppose here one website is running in the internet, one website is running, and it can't accessible from outside. Now how we will achieve this when we can access from the outside? So through the concept is through tunneling we can make it. Now let's see here. In this system there is a one Apache server is running. It only accessible through the intranet. You can't access from the outside. So now we will make the tunneling. We can from outside we can access the intranet. Okay, what is SSH tunneling? Actually, tunneling is one network protocol is encapsulated to the another network protocol. So here we are using SSH and complete this protocol is encrypted and sent through this one. And in SSH provides three types of tunneling. One is a dynamic, second one is local port forwarding, third one is remote port forwarding. In this screencast we will see the dynamic and local port forwarding. And remote port forwarding is very rarely used. And dynamic tunnel. In dynamic tunnel it creates a one SOX proxy server in client side. And our all client applications like a browser all I need to configure to that SOX proxy. Then whatever things goes through that SOX proxy, it's automatically transparently redirect, encrypt and sent to the remote machine. And responses we will get in same order. And this is a command. In SSH we need to give the options -D and any port number. In this port number any unused port number of client side. So this command they create one SOX proxy in 8080. It's like this. This is a client side, and here in SOX proxy running in 8080. Now any client application like a browser, it's accessing through the any data. You send the data to 8080, it goes to the SOX proxy. SOX proxy is again communicate to the SSH client. This SSH client is communicate to the SSH server through the encrypted channel. Then SSH server decrypts the packet and gives to that particular application. Suppose we send the local host, HTTP local host to the SOX proxy. This SOX proxy is gives to the SSH client. SSH client is encrypt and sent to the SSH server. SSH server decrypt and get the local host. So local host is now it's pointing to the remote machine only. So remote machine, any local host we are not mentioning port number, so it's by default 80. So any 80 any service is running like a Apache server, then that Apache server is called. The response is back through, send it back in same order. So let's see the demo. Now I have three systems. This is a outside system. This is a private server. Private server there is a one Apache is running. Now in outside the system there is no Apache is running. Suppose localhost, nothing you will get because no service is running in port number 80. Now from system I want to access Apache services from this system. You can use it the IP address like 192.168.106.102. You will access. There is another way to access the same services. Now I can directly access the private server Apache server. Now here one more Apache server is running here. I want to access it, but you can't access it directly because there is no routable IP address. The 10.10.1.11 is there is no routable, so you can't route anything. Instead of using the IP address, we will use the another way to achieve this same one. Okay, let's see. Okay, now SSH -D port number 8080 and username and host name 192.168.56.192. Give a password and I'm logged into the remote server. And let's check. Use the netstart command. When you use the netstart command, you will clearly see some services is binded in 8080. It's nothing but for SOX proxy. So open any one client application like a browser and goes to the settings and advanced network settings, and now configure the SOX proxy. Now here the proxy is binded in the 127.0.0, that's mean localhost, sorry, loopback address with 8080. We need to put the same setting here. 127.0.0.1, port number is 8080. Okay, now SOX proxy is configured. Now you will access through the localhost. See, now same web page you can access through the localhost, but we know clearly in the system there is no 80 port is binded and no service is running. But when you configure through the SOX proxy, we can access that one. Okay, now IP address 10.10.1.11. See, now even though before that we can't, it is not possible to the access from this machine to this machine because this IP address is non-routable. But now when you access, give to the 10.10.1, I clearly access this Apache server from this system. So when SOX proxy is closed, first I will remove the SOX proxy. Because it's a non-routable IP address. So when you set the SOX proxy, you can access that web page. So here the very important thing is not only Apache server, you can access any services like a VNC, remote desktop, everything we can access from outside. There is one more method, local port forwarding. So what is the difference between the dynamic and local port forwarding? Dynamic tunnel, they create the SOX proxy and our application need to configure through the SOX proxy, then only it's possible to access. Suppose our application is like a browser, there is no option to configure the proxy. So that kind of situation, we can use a local port forwarding. So local port forwarding also it's active like working like this dynamic tunnel only. So here the syntax is somewhat different. Okay, now here when you use a local port forwarding, they bind one particular port, then whatever the content is sent to that port, they directly encrypt and send to the remote system. Now see the syntax, SSH -L, L means local port forwarding, and there's one IP address, sorry, port number. This port number is client port number, any unused port number, and this is a specifically to relate to the remote system, not our local host, not client local host. This is the remote system local host. It's a relative to this IP address. So now localhost is actually meaning is from this system, it's a local host, and RAM key and the remote host. Now see local port forwarding from this system. Now there's a one port is binded 8000, so the content goes to the port number 8000. 8000 actually redirect to the SSH client. SSH client connect to the SSH server port number 22 with encrypted channel. Then SSH server this decrypt the packet and send to the particular specific port number 80. Suppose I am sending the localhost 80. We mentioned in last slide that localhost is 80 is encrypted through this one and it decrypted here localhost 80. Now localhost is pointing to remote system only. So remote system 80, any service is running like HTTP server, then it's the packet sending to HTTP server. The request is going and response will come back in same order. Now suppose I want to install 1 or 2. Now I want to access a 10.10.1.1. So that kind of situation, slight modification, instead of putting localhost here, put the value of the IP address. That means non-routable IP, the private IP like 10.10.1.11. Now this IP address related to this one. So from this system, they know that this IP address, this is routable IP. From our perspective, it's not routable, but this system perspective is a routable IP address. Now it's like this. Our packet is going through 8000, then it's going to SSH client, SSH server, then it's going to port 80 in 10.11.11. Now see the demo. Now I remove the, in this scenario no need to configure the proxy settings, or remove it, and no proxy, no need any proxy. Close it. Now enter, you will not get it. Okay. Now come to the system. Now we are in system. Now we are going to SSH-L. I am using 7000. You can use any port number, and localhost port number 80, and one key 192.68.56.102. Okay, now we logged into the private server. Now when you see the netstart command, 7000 is binded, and now open the browser. You just type localhost. Now we need to specify the port number here, 7000. When you enter, you will got the private server Apache web page you will get here. So in compared to the dynamic tunnel, here before that we are not specified anything. Now you need to specify. But here there is no proxy server is running. It's just like a simple port forwarding. This is actually port forwarding. Now suppose 7000 is pointing to this system. Now I want to suppose to access the, now suppose I want to access this intranet from our system. Then we need to create the another tunneling. So just exit. Now same one. Here specify the IP address of private network 10.10.1.1. Okay, we log in. Now the same one, 7000. Just refresh it. You will get the intranet web page, and now you will see the remote desktop. Now the same scenario. Now there is any remote desktop is running, like a VNC server actually is running here. Then from here we will get the remote desktop of this machine. Okay, this is our next goal. Next scenario is like this. So this is that system. This is our intranet. Now actually Ubuntu is already shipped with one VNC server, so I'm going to start the VNC server. So I started, and the system is started. So when you see the netstart, there's a 5900. One port is binded. It's nothing but VNC server is binded that port. So we need to access this particular port. Before that we accessed 80. Now we are going to access 5900. Our line is like this. So through the local port forwarding we access that one, SSH-L, any port number of client side. Then our goal is these systems 5900. So let's see. Now same one. Here we using 5900. Okay, I logged in, and the port is here binded in my localhost. In Ubuntu have the one VNC viewer, that the name is remote desktop viewer. Go to the remote desktop viewer and connect it. I'm going to connect VNC, and I connected to localhost. My port number is 7000, and give the 2:. The reason is, if you give single colon, they take the desktop ID. So give the 2:, to specify the port number. I connected. Now you got the remote desktop inside. Now host name is intranet. Now I got the remote desktop. Now I can choose anything. Graphical user interface, we'll get it now. Now actually we are using all our Linux machines, so you can access it. From Windows machine, how to achieve this one?